question. Four choices, and I want you to select the choice that is correct, and I want you to put that correct answer in the chat box. Again, those of you that participate, your names are going to go into a drawing to win a prize at the end of our session. We're going to do a random drawing at the end of the session for each person that participates. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started with question number 1. What percentage of Asian Americans believe they need more life insurance coverage? Again, what percentage of Asian Americans believe they need more life insurance coverage? Is it A, 30%, B, 45%, C, 50%, or D, 60%? Okay, 30%, 45%, 50%, or 60%? Oh, got some answers coming in hot. All right. All right. I see a lot of D's out there, a couple of B's, C's coming in. Okay, okay. Got an A there. Got a couple more D's. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer is actually B, 45%. So 45% of Asian Americans believe they need more life insurance coverage. Think about your markets. Think about where you are. 45% of Asian Americans on average say they need more life insurance coverage. Let's go to question number 2. What proportion of Asian Americans own permanent life insurance products? What proportion of Asian Americans own permanent life insurance products? Is it A, 4 in 10, B, 5 in 10, C, 6 in 10, or D, 7 in 10? So we have 4 in 10, 5 in 10, 6 in 10, or 7 in 10. What do you think? Got a bunch of A's coming in here, a couple B's. Okay. Okay. Got some C's coming in. All right. All right. Well, the correct answer on this one, that 5 and 10 for Corey. All right. So the correct answer on this one is actually C. 6 in 10 Asian Americans own permanent life insurance products, right? So there's some opportunities out there for you guys. This next one should be a pretty simple one, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. Over the last 20 years, which group has been the fastest growing demographic in the United States? Is it A, people who identify as Hispanic, B, people who identify as African American or Black, C, people who identify as Asian, or D, people who identify as white? What's the largest growing demographic over the past 20 years in the U.S.? Okay. Oh, I suppose a curveball? I think it was going to be a curveball. Well, I'll tell you guys what, a majority of you are putting the answer C in there. And since we're talking about Asian Americans today, the correct answer is C, people who identify as Asian American. All right, 2 more questions to go. Let's see what you guys got. So, next question. What percentage of Asian Americans say they own life insurance? What percentage of Asian Americans say they own life insurance? Is it A, 35%, B, 52%, C, 68%, or D, 75%? 35%, 52%, 68%, or 75%? All right, got some good answers coming in here. Got some A's, some B's, got a couple D's in there. Okay. Like how quickly you guys put these answers in there. Good stuff. All right. It's like slowing down. Okay. So the correct answer on this one is B, 52%. So 52% of Asian Americans say they actually own life insurance products. All right. Last question. Hope you guys are ready. This is our bonus question. On average, how much more do Asian Americans own? Let me start over. On average, how much more do Asian Americans earn compared to the median income of all Americans? On average, how much more do Asian Americans earn compared to the median income of all Americans? Is it A, 20% more, B, 30% more, C, 40% more, or D, 50% more? So 20%, 30%, 40%, or 50%. All right, I guess B's, D's, and then a couple C's. Right? That's good answers coming in. Why you guys are on this? All right. So kind of slowing down there. Fantastic. All right. So just for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and give you all the answer to this one. The answer is actually C, 40%. So on average, the Asian Americans own about 40% more than all Americans. So great answers there. So good job on that. Again, those names are going to go into our hat for the drawing at the end of our session today. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our moderator, Mrs. Gwen Shaw, and also our guest speaker, Mr. Hai Pham, go ahead and turn those cameras on. And Gwen, thank you for being with us and moderating today. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Courtney. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Awesome. You know what? Those were some really good questions. The only one I got right was the last one. So I need to learn a lot from my guest today, from our guest today. But I just want to say welcome, everybody. Welcome to Rise Presents Cultural Connect. Culture Connects is just like Courtney was saying, but it's a series where we explore how to communicate, connect, and grow across cultures. And as your moderator today, I just let you know, I've been with Country for now almost 17 years. That time goes by really, really fast, you guys. And I've always been interested in communicating and marketing to other communities. I'm surrounded by a melting pot of different communities, and as a group of Rise Executive Board, we just felt like we really needed to deliver something to you that would really give you some meat to go out to communities and do some things and stretch yourselves in areas where you were not maybe otherwise comfortable, which is why we're bringing people like Hai today. I met Hai a couple of years ago, or maybe it was just last year, and we had a fantastic time out there in Washington and Seattle. And I think that he's going to bring some really good information to us today. So we're honored to have him to share his insights on how we as agents in the Asian community. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in Hai. Hello, brother.
You hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I'm the only Asian that was free today. That's not outside.
No, we picked you out, on purpose. It was intention.
Thank you.
Just so you know. So Hai has been with Country for 2 years right now, right?
That's kidding. 24 years.
Oh, that long?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad. So the moderator didn't do her homework. So great, but you're in an area, and I'm not exactly familiar with, the community that you're in. So, whatever insights you can give us, will be helpful. I mean, I've only been to Seattle twice in my entire life.
There's a lot of Asians here in Seattle. Very dense demographic of, I'd say we're everywhere, but Washington in general, specifically Seattle, it's a large Asian community here. Not just Vietnamese, Asian in general, but it's.
Okay. So can you share a bit about your background and how your culture has helped to shape your approach to financial advising?
So I just mentioned I've been here for 24 years, kind of gone by fairly quickly. How I started with the company was, I came out of UW, started here, but from a family background, all 5 of my brothers actually were refugees. They came, left the war, came over here various routes. Myself, my parents, and my sister were lucky enough that we didn't have to go through all that. We were sponsored over when my brother got the citizenships or whatnot. So we flew over here by plane. So that's a little bit of my background, how it came to the States. So in between, with parents, family that left the war-torn country, and I was pretty much raised here. I was 10 when I came over here, so my exposure was more still leaning towards the American culture side. But I was old enough to, when I left my country at 10, that I'm fluent in Vietnamese and have a pretty good understanding of the culture, things of that nature that's kind of shaped my approach to the business side of things, and how to handle different relationships.
Okay. So do you feel that the wealth building is that something that is, I'm trying to ask, okay. Do you feel that financial planning or wealth building traditionally fits within the Asian culture, value, or family structure?
Wealth building, yes, but financial building in a general sense, no. The reason I say that is because my parents, the older generation, like I just mentioned, we came over here by not by choice, but we were leaving a regime, conflict or whatnot, right? So we're still very skeptical in terms of the traditional ways. Like when you think of financial planning here, right? You sit down with somebody, they help draw up a plan, they put a plan together, and all that. yes, go into the financial plan. But if you talk to anybody that's like a little older, that is not the approach that is taken. Just because that we're so guarded, we're so reserved, that the traditional kind of the banking institution, financial institution is still a relatively new idea to a lot of my parents or older generation. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yes, definitely, makes sense. So, I'm always curious about the misconceptions that people make about different cultural backgrounds, different communities. What are some of the misconceptions that you're aware of that people outside the Asian community might have about financial habits or attitudes towards money? And I really want you to be completely transparent because I've heard some things and it bothers me. So I want you to let people know, what are we saying, what are we doing, and what are some of the misconceptions that we have about the Asian community that is offensive to them.
Um,
I'm sorry to give you a hard one at the beginning.
no, I mean, you can share with me what the conceptions out there are, and I can address them. But in general, we've been told that we're frugal, we're probably hiding money in under our mattress, which might be true. Who knows? But in a sense, I try to. I don't watch the news a lot. I try to block out a lot of the negative noise, that goes on. I kind of keep my head down. So I guess it's better to kind of flip around, like, you guys let me know what other misconceptions are there about the Asian community, and I can say if it's true or not true. With that,
Okay, I'm gonna table that one.
okay.
Let's switch gears and talk about how do we communicate and build trust. I think with every group, that's a challenge. We've covered the African American community, we've covered the Hispanic, Latino communities, and we talked about how you build trust. Asian community here in Chicago. And I love going to, well, we've always called it Chinatown. I don't know if that's offensive or not, but that's what we've called it. So what are some of the key communication or etiquette differences about advisors or agents that we should be aware of when serving the Asian community or Asian clients?
I think the number one thing is you gotta be respectful, because we come from a tradition of respect your elders. Like even if in this agreement, there's certain things you can't say, you can't speak freely, just blurt something out. So it translates to how you do business as well. You have to always be patient because most Asians in general, especially the older folks, in a traditional sense, they're very reserved and very private. So if you come in there with a rah rushing through things, just trying to push, I don't think it's gonna be very helpful in terms of building relationships. We like to take things slow, really get to know. You have to really build that trust when you're building, especially when you're talking about things of private nature. I don't think probably 9 out of 10 Asian that you meet, they're not just gonna blurb out, like tell you everything they have and they own. You really have to pry it out of them. And that's part of building a relationship, how you get deeper into getting to know someone and how to open up your checkbook, kind of say, right, to allow them to do business with you. I think that's with most, but it's more prevalent in the Asian community.
So you have the husband and wife together and you're having a conversation. How do you approach that? Who do you direct the questions to? Is it to both of them? Is it more respectful to speak to the man, the husband versus the wife? How do we go about that?
What's that say? Happy wife, happy life, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, same approach. We generally it's good to have both, just like any couple. You want both to be there. But what you find mostly is that it's gonna be the male that's gonna be driven to take more decision. But he wouldn't get the okay unless the wife says so.
Mm.
So it's both, it's both. You have to kind of read, but even if the guy's doing most of the talking, but trust me, nothing gets signed off until she signs off. So
So is it possible for someone like me to build a relationship and to be an advisor for someone in the Asian community? I mean, is it like, you know, we're just gonna stick with other Asian people, that's
You know,
what we're gonna do.
that's the funny thing because honestly, you have a better other race have a better chance of being a financial advisor to a first generation Asian family. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
We trust our own, but for some reason, when it comes, this is my take. My take to sometimes like they us rather deal with somebody that is not in the whole community in terms of financial advice. I think it has to do. I think it has to do with how private we are, I guess. And that the Asian community is very tight knit. Will share things, and sometimes, especially, they don't want personal information out there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense because I think that's not just with the Asian community. I think that's with a lot of different communities, especially the Black community.
Yeah. So I mean, like, when you have the trust, that it's like they do a lot of business with you. But traditionally, I'm just saying, it's like you might have an equal shot, if not a better shot, of getting an Asian family to do business with you just because they view you in a different lens per se.
So, thank you for that. Are there phrases, topics, or things that we say that we should avoid, or things we should stay away from, like when discussing money, debt, or life insurance?
Uh, Not that I can really think of, other than like I said, being respectful and money manner is the key thing. It's better to err on the conservative reserve side. When speaking to like older generation, like American Asian family. I haven't really come across where anything was. It's just we don't like rude people. I guess nobody likes rude people, right? But like over the top, kind of pushing your will on approach, aggressive sales tendencies. I think that is probably not going to resonate well with our culture, just especially like the older one, because what? Again, we left a country, right? We're not going to have the notion, the idea of somebody coming to your home and tell us what to do, right? What needs to be done, but more or less, if you have the patience kind of walk us through things in a natural, progressive manner, then I think it's going to help you in the long run. Because we are very good at referral, that helps too. So if you can't get in the door, don't expect you to stay long. If there's no rapport, and I guess that's with any culture. That's not just the Asian community. So.
For me, it bothers me if I say something that offends a person, you know what I mean? And it bothers me if I don't address people the way they want to be addressed. I remember it probably was during Obama's election, because I remember going to a party at a bar, and I ran into a group of Latinas, and and I just they used to use Chicano, or I guess that's in California or something like that, or Latino, Latina, or Hispanic. So I was asking them, what do you prefer? Because for me, at the time I was working I was working in a predominantly Hispanic community at Chase Bank. And I just, I never want to offend people. You know what I mean? So I did ask, I was asking, and most of them had the same, like some preferred Latina, or Hispanic, or they said overall. So is there something that you've heard or that people say that is offensive and we should stop saying it? Because I know a word. I just want to know if you know that word.
I guess it's more like, you know, back then, I don't know how it is now, just because we're moving to like the almost the third generation already. So things of that usually are used,
Oriental.
specifically, or to like the Vietnamese culture can be offensive. But like I said,
Yeah, I think that's important. I know I know it's uncomfortable, but I think it's so important that we avoid those words because they are offensive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think with the high level of things that we do, we should know better. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like this is so important that you share like the things that you've heard. Like I've never used those words that you mentioned, but I've heard Oriental before many times. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. You mentioned this though, and you mentioned generational differences, and I appreciate that because I had I told you about my vacation, the most wonderful vacation, and I was so fortunate to meet so many people all across the board. And I met my two babies. I call them my babies. They actually were from Shanghai. It was two college students from Toronto, and I call them my babies because they were the youngest among the group of people that we were traveling with. So it was just a lot of fun and just talking to them and everything. And so I know that just the way I was communicating with them was different from the way I communicated with people that are, your parents' age or your age. It was just different. And it was so refreshing, you know what I mean? And just delightful. So are there different communication styles? Do young people, like these young ladies were medical students, do they have different financial goals than maybe their parents, or their grandparents? Do you see a difference in that?
Yes, there is a huge generation gap, I guess, or shifting, if you want to put it that way, just because, like I said, the older generation that came over in the 80s, 90s, my parents, let's say my brothers or whatnot, now me, now my kids, right? So the way I talk to my parents would be different than if I was communicating with a client in their 20s now, how they talk to their parents. That makes sense.
Mhm.
It's like almost like me talking to my parent, my kids or not. We're more approaching on a openness, direct kind of level of open communications. But if I was dealing with let's say my parents, my uncles or the older, there's still a huge factor that I have the way I have to approach them. I have I have to be more not that I can't be open, but I have to be more respectful of what it is, the message that I'm trying to convey. Message, but how you deliver it, right? Or how the contents of it. So if I were dealing with college kids nowadays that they're Asian American, the way I talk to them would be different if I was talking to their parents. But the way they communicate with each other would be it's different. So you have to be able to recognize the dynamic, the background of the generation because it's vastly different.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing and outreach. Are you doing anything particular for the Asian community? Like, what works best when trying to reach clients in the Asian community?
Honestly, I'm probably the worst person to talk to regarding this, just because I still live in the Stone Age. I don't have social media. I've never had social media.
Really?
So you probably can't find me on social media. I didn't use Facebook, never did. So a lot of things are new to me. And this is something that I did. I started back then, never cared for it. By the time I wanted to do it, it's like I was too late now, and it's like people using it for the wrong way. And I've always talked about doing it just for business. I remember this 10 years ago when I said, okay, maybe I'll start a Facebook business account to help further my business, right? Because I wasn't doing much marketing, but the company said, well, you have to have a private account before you can have a business account. So then I didn't want to go through the work. I don't like to do extra work. So I just felt like, where my business was going, a lot of it was 100% referral. So I never dabbed into the social media. I'm sure the company doesn't want me to say that, but like I said, but that's just how I've been able to operate for 24 years, and it has worked out for me. So in this day and age, I think you need to be, just because I've heard about the success stories, get your name out there, and it's more competitive. I would strongly recommend doing that. But as far as my personal experience, I can't say
I get it. I get
it
it.
worked for me.
So are you doing more like community engagement or cultural events, small business partnerships, referral groups? Are you doing things like that?
If I was being 100% honest, no. I'm very relationship driven. I treat all my clients like they could be my last client. I'm very straightforward. The traditional sense of building a business still works for me and has continued to work for me. So I haven't made the shift over, but I'm starting to put myself out there more. I'm trying to do more community events. But the things I'm doing are more on a personal relationship level, not so much of a mass type of marketing. So that makes sense. Like I'm doing some small group, taking my BNI out. I'll donate to the church, something very subtle, just to keep my name in the community, but not just blasting my name out there. That makes any sense.
Okay. Okay. So let's get some meat and potatoes. Like, people want to know how, in terms of selling the type of products, what type of products or solutions tend to resonate most with the agent client, such as education, savings, life insurance, or business protection. What type of solutions?
Those question that we did earlier, the all the percentages,
Mhm.
it actually is very true. I'm a big believer in life insurance. If you ask, I've probably been known for selling a lot of life insurance or a good amount of life insurance. I guess that would be my strong point. And I wasn't surprised the stats were what every 6 and 10 agent own whole life insurance. I think that's one of the questions earlier, which is very true. Us in the Asian community, specifically Vietnamese, it does a lot of my clientele. We like guarantees. We like things that are simple. We like things, as long as it's communicated to us in the right way. We lean towards more something that's guaranteed that we're getting, more money, more bang for a buck kind of thing. We don't need the big life insurance policy, but we like to have the permanent policy. It kind of goes in this way of like I said earlier, jokingly said, agent probably stashed a lot of cash in the home. They're not in the bank, trust it, right? Conservative nature, it's more about educating, my clients. I'm telling them, hey, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. You can't just sit on it. You have to do something with it, right? But at the same time, if the protection is there, they're more inclined to give you $200, $300, $400 without this set in the bank and do nothing. But it's getting them the life insurance that they need, and they don't need a lot, because most the house is probably paid off, car is probably paid off. Is they have money sitting around. So the idea of having huge $5, $10, $2 million policy is not going to resonate as rather than having a $250, $300, $300,000 like whole life policy, or just an EW of like leaving a legacy for the grandkids or whatnot. Because I don't think most of us, if you communicate or build your relationship in a right way, they're more than happy to get the life insurance protection because we're so family and protection oriented. We don't want our kids, oh my, to be. We don't want to be a burden. So that's why also a household, you're gonna see a multi-generation family living together because we rely on each other. I want to take care of my parents. My parents, probably overbearing of me because just because where they came from, when they left, it's like okay, they're more protective. But at the same time, it comes from a good place. So if they can do something to help as a life insurance policy, most of us gonna say yeah, that it's gonna be the easy stuff. But again, it has to come from a place of trust, not because we told we needed to do something.
Yeah, I definitely can identify with the multi-generational. My favorite neighbors, which are right next door to me, are Vietnamese, and it's different generations. You know what I'm saying? And they're incredible. I mean, I just have to say it's just incredible, and their whole family dynamic is so incredible to me. So I understand what you're talking about. Just a few more questions. Hi, thank you so much. This has been really, really good. Would you say that in terms of diversity, what do you think that companies like Country, what could we do better to recruit and to support you and other advisors in the industry?
This area specifically, I think we're actually doing a very, very good job. Like I said, I've been here for 24 years. I think I've been here for 24 years, but when I first started, I can remember I was this young Asian guy, probably one of the few that was, walking around at all these meetings. I'm pretty sure most of the Asians at that time probably didn't realize I actually worked with the company. I was from intern, walking around. So just to now to go see like the different meetings and we have, how diverse we are, it makes me feel happy that lights and attention are being paid to the Asian community, other community, everywhere because we are successful. We're family. This is what Country wants, right? The Middle America, small knit community, trusting. We put the best products out there, right? So we gotta keep going. But in terms of marketing, I think where I was discouraged early on because every time I tried to put like a print ad together or in Vietnamese or get things out there, the process is just so long, so cumbersome. That's like, I gave up. I didn't want to do it because just all the loopholes that you have to change. I know there's security, compliance, and whatnot. Now that I see the company starting to roll out more, making it easier, with the different print ad and different languages that we have, even though Vietnamese not on it yet, but it's heading towards the right direction, and how our company is shifting from our hiring process or whatnot is good. It's good time to be with the company, especially if you are from an ethnic background.
Awesome. That's good to know. Because it was certainly different so many years before, even for African Americans. I just felt like, we just didn't have enough pieces out there. And then we would always have to go through compliance to get, pieces created and things like that.
Yep.
On marketing compliance. And it just, like you said, it would just take a long time, but we definitely have made significant steps, in getting that, making that no longer an obstacle in what we're doing. So I agree with you. What do you think other, people like who want to reach out to the Asian communities, what would be one of the first things that we should do?
Like I was saying earlier, I mean, don't worry about the misconception that we only deal with our own community. Like I said, I would say more than half if those would be told to who want to work with. We want to work with other ethics too, but as long as there is a understanding of level of patience and respect. I think the biggest thing to me is there's no shortcut. Time, you need to invest the time, and it's kind of crazy to say that we have no time in this business, right? We don't know you're gonna be here next month or the month after.
It's true.
But the time to invest in cultivating that, the relationship, it will help you in the long run. Like this, it's the time. It's what you put in. Easy come, easy go, right? If you just coming in, which trying to sell a product, most likely that policy will be canceled a year down the road, anyways, and you don't want that. So if you invest, your energy, your resources in the right way, I think it, helps the longevity. But again, we do need to do things just because we're now sets up production, even a more production driven business model. But I think if we start taking shortcuts, I don't think it's going to do us any favor in the long run. So just gotta invest your time and effort, but in the right place. And that's different for everybody. The way I approach business is not going to be, works for somebody else. So you just have to find your niche.
It's about establishing trust, building trust with that, and not like I would suggest for anyone, regardless whether it's an Asian community, Hispanic community, African American community, is joining. First of all, your local chamber, and showing up. I've always been. It always bothered me when people would, at the end of a meeting, would just go around just handing a business cards, and it's like, I don't even know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And I probably have more business cards at the end of the year than most people, because it's not a habit that I've made over my career. It's really about connecting with people, because the climate that we're in right now is just really kind of crazy. But I just always feel that, there's more that we have in common than not. And I've always believed in finding that commonality. And I think that you can do that without shoving your business card in front of the person's face. Show up at community events, sponsor, different things. You'd be surprised what $100 could do, or how appreciative people would be. So those are some things that I recommend that people do. But just be a part, because I think that people won't trust you until they know who you are. Yeah. You can put up a billboard. Like, I remember people putting up billboards, they don't know who you are. I didn't put up a billboard until I was in my 7th, maybe 8th year. And it meant more then, because then people knew me, the community knew me, and they were excited. It's like unveiling something, really exciting to them. So, that's kind of what I would suggest.
Totally agree. I don't even carry my business card around.
See, we have that in common. I knew I liked you. Any closing remarks from you? Anything you want to say? Or
I appreciate the opportunity to come on. Like I said, I've been here for a long time, but I feel like I haven't really been involved in a lot of things. So I want to give my 2 cents as part of me being trying to open up to new ideas, being more vulnerable. Like I said, we're dealing with the Asian community. Vulnerability is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We carry our emotion on our sleeves, but at the same time, it takes trust. If you are able to go deep in that relationship, trust me, you will have more business than you can write. And I'm a living example of somebody that, as young or old as I am, that don't have social media, that I can still last in this type of environment. So it just gotta invest.
I really want to thank you. In the Rise Executive Board, we thank you for sharing your perspective and insights. Your experience really has helped us understand the nuances of serving and communicating with the Asian community in a very meaningful way. So we are grateful for you, and hopefully our goal is to continue to foster cultural understanding and inclusion and empowerment all across the communities that we serve. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out to me with any individual questions, or if I can help it in any way. I'm an open book. I'm not good at reaching out to people, but I'm very responsive when somebody tells me.
You are. Questions. I learned that. Thank you. Hi.
Okay. We're good. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
So now, Courtney, am I turning over to Nicole?
You just met?
Nicole, are you there?
I sure am. and I am excited to have such a wonderful conversation today. Gwen, you as always did a wonderful job with our presentation here, and we appreciate everything that you're doing with the Cultural Connect sessions. So we've had an exciting day today. We've had a lot of great information shared and a lot of additional learning. So I want to thank our presenter, Hyde, for sharing with us and being so open with us about his culture and community and the things that we can do to learn and grow. And before we get into our results for the raffle that we have for today, we're going to go through just a few quick announcements for RISE. So we have some exciting things coming up that the board has planned, and we hope that you're able to attend and participate. So coming up next, we have our RISE Day of Service. So if you didn't get a chance to participate last year or not sure what that is, RISE Day of Service is a one-day service day where we have in 3 different communities an opportunity for those that are in the area to be able to serve the community. So this year we have our 3 areas selected as Atlanta, Phoenix, and Chicago. The RISE Day of Service will be on November 15th for Atlanta and the Phoenix area, and then it'll be on the 16th for the Chicago area. So those of us that are in those different areas will be calling on you to serve in one of the community organizations in those areas. So you'll be hearing about that soon. And as you see that email go out, if you're in that area, or if you want to be in that area or can travel to that area, we'd be happy to have you. We'll ask for your assistance to participate with the organizations. We usually do a charity give back. So it usually like a day of packing supplies at a homeless shelter or things like that. So that is the RISE Day of Service coming up here very quickly in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see that email very soon going out to Chicago, Phoenix, and Atlanta for the reps in those areas. The next thing after that is going to be our December Academy. So Academy comes up once a year. It is an informational session where we have an exciting speaker and some topics. We've got a really great speaker that we're working on to pull together for you all. So you'll see an email requesting your time in December just for a 1-hour session where we'll have a facilitator who will give us some great nuggets to help you with your sales and marketing tactics that relate to some of the cultural communities that we serve in. So you'll see that one coming out very quickly here. That'll come out via email as well. And so just check your calendar and hopefully you're able to join us. Last but not least, we do have some information that we'll share later in the coming months about a new program that we're putting together. So RISE has put together a community program where we're able to help you in some of those community items that you may be doing already. So we have a program that was previously called InRise, and it was ran a little bit different, but we are revamping the InRise program and bringing it back even better than it was before. Check your email for information on that. We'll have some info sent out, but just a little teaser, that's going to allow up to 10 participants that are selected by the board to receive up to $1,000 for a community event that you would like to participate in. We're going to help you get those things done. So look out for that information with more details about InRise, and hopefully you're able to participate as one of those community members that we can support. All right, those are all the announcements and things that we have going on. Our last but not least thing, and great, so I will bring up the board. I was over here furiously typing while you all were giving your answers, and hopefully I typed your name correctly. If I didn't, just give me a little grace here, because I did have to individually type them in, but hopefully I got them all spelled correctly or close enough. So we'll spin the wheel and our winner will receive a $75 gift from us to you for RISE. So we hope that you are a winner this time around. So drum roll on your own, on your laptop or computer or desk. Not too loud though, don't bother your neighbor. All right, let's see who we have for our winner.
Oh.
All right, so Kelly Cooley. Kelly Cooley is our RISE winner for today. So Kelly, be on the lookout for an email from us. It'll probably come from Syria to let you know that she is sending over a $75 gift to Kelly. Hopefully I spelled that right, but Kelly Cooley is our winner for today. All right, so those are the upcoming things for RISE. We are glad you joined us today. We'll let you get going back on your way, but as you go out, think about our opportunities that we've learned from High today for us to be able to connect in the Asian community. And we appreciate your time and your efforts. Thank you.